Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Witcher Companion. I haven't recorded one of these in so long, and I haven't even been busy. I've just been bored. So, welcome back. This one is on A Question of Price, which is very important for the main saga of The Witcher. And also, I think it's such a good short story. This is really a short story where so many people are making moves, or Queen Calanthe makes a lot of moves that maybe don't make sense. And even once everything is revealed, you're still like, what? So you have to think about it and come up with why she did the things that she did. And I really love this short story because of that. I want to remember to talk at the end. I'm going to try and save the Netflix talk for the end because this episode was almost there. It was almost there. It was almost so good. But let's dive into the short story itself. So, first of all, like usual, we'll do the voice of reason first. Obviously, it's just Geralt talking to Iola because Iola has a vow of silence, so he's just talking to himself, really. But he talks about his first ever monster that he killed, and it's so sad because obviously he kills this guy who's trying to take advantage of this girl. And he says, I wanted the girl, sobbing with gratitude, to kiss her savior on the hands and her father to thank me on his knees. But in actuality, the girl is screaming and covered in blood, and the dad runs away and leaves her there. And what a wake up call for Geralt. Like, what a reality check. And that's just so sad to have been taken as a child and raised for this thing. It would be so great if this thing that Geralt was raised for could be heroic, but it isn't. It's just gritty and hard. So that's why he doesn't really get involved in situations among people that much anymore. And anyways, for the lead in into A Question of Price, he talks about why did I make that decision in Sintra that night? The conversations between Calanthe and Geralt are so good. They are both so smart and they have this back and forth. Geralt has a way of being so detached from the politics of the world and everything that he understands the station that Calanthe holds, but feels no obligation to give her the respect that her station demands. And I think that's kind of badass. And also, she deserves that. And I think that rulers tend to enjoy that when Geralt will come up and just be straight talking. Obviously, she gets a little upset, and maybe she was right for that because he was very disrespectful, but their conversations are so good. And Geralt says, you've mistaken me for a hired killer. I've never killed people for money, and I never will. And Calanthe, name dropping the name of our story here, says everyone can be bought. It's just a question of price. Calanthe is smart, like I mentioned, and she did not bring Geralt here as a hired killer. And Geralt even says, she could have brought anybody here to do the job if somebody needed to be murdered. And she makes a point of dancing around it, but saying, I didn't bring you here to kill somebody. I'm one of the very few people who does understand what Witchers do, and that is exactly what you are here for. So what does Calanthe know that we don't? Obviously, she knows that Duny is going to be showing up and knows that there's destiny involved and obviously some kind of curse because Duny's like a hedgehog. So she's brought the Witcher here to deal with that however he can. Geralt and Mousesack, the druid from Skellige, are also having this weird conversation with breadcrumbs. So we're clued in on this. We don't know exactly what's going through their heads, but we know that they are speaking to each other. And here's another interesting point. Ermion from The Witcher 3 and Mousesack are meant to be the same character. I don't remember if that's true or not. Calanthe gets all cryptic and throws a word out that we have heard many times and will hear many, many more. Geralt says, isn't your will alone sufficient for it to happen? It being the marriage between Skellige and Sintra. And she says, events might take such a turn that it won't be sufficient. And Geralt says, well, what could be stronger than your will? And she says, destiny, destiny. It's at this point in the feast that we see somebody come up to the queen. They have this kind of tense exchange, and the queen slaps her armrest of her chair. And I believe that this is somebody telling her that Duny has arrived and obviously does plan to make some kind of move tonight. And so she's pissed. Duny is telling his story about how he saved King Rogner and asked for the Law of Surprise. And this is when I love this, something crazy happens here, frankly. Queen Calanthe summons a page and whispers a short command to the page. And it says Geralt couldn't hear it, but he was puzzled by the surprise on the boy's face and the fact that the command had to be repeated before the page ran to the exit. I'm going to talk about this later. Remember it, because I think this is so cool. Dooney at this point starts talking about the law of surprise. Don't remember if we've heard about yet. Maybe we have. I don't know. I recorded the other videos before this, so I get it all kind of confused. But the law of surprise. The price a man who saves another can demand of the granting of a seemingly impossible wish. You will give me the first thing that comes to greet you, or you'll give me what you find at home yet don't expect. Could this be foreshadowing? It's not even foreshadowing. It's just like something this guy did and it's gonna happen again in like, I don't know, 10 pages. Kudak starts rambling on and on about some story about how you shouldn't dice with destiny because somebody ignored the law of surprise and like great tragedy befell their house or some shit. Who knows? But Calanthe says, don't threaten me. Midnight is close, the time for ghosts. Can you remember any more legends from your undoubtedly difficult childhood? If not, then sit down. Why is Calanthe so worried that midnight is close? Could that be anything? Couple of things happen really quick. One, Mousak says Geralt here knows the law of surprise very well. It's something that happened to him. He was destined for something else, but through the law of surprise, became the Witcher that he is today. And then the bell strikes midnight, and Calanthe says, "It's midnight, urchin. You're no longer bound by your knightly oath. Throw down your helmet." And he does. And he's a horrifying hedgehog creature. And everybody freaks out and says, obviously, we're not going to let Pavetta marry this freak. Well, this horrifying hedgehog creature is here in the room in front of everybody, and Pavetta is asked, do you take this person's hand in marriage? And Pavetta says yes, because Dooney's been doing a little bit of fucking on the side. He was kind of sneaking into some bedchambers, and, you know, they were getting up to some shit, and so she's already interested. This shocks everybody, and Calanthe's like, well, I guess we need to kill him. So everybody tries to kill him. Shit starts exploding. Mousak is telling Geralt to be careful using breadcrumbs. Pavetta starts using like magic and there's like explosions and shit. But everything all works out. Some other things are revealed, like Pavetta must not be a virgin because I guess you can't use magic if you're a virgin or something. I don't know. Weird. But Mousak is like, man, the youth are getting started early in today's day and age. Calanthe and Iced Tersyke, it's revealed that they're just gonna say fuck it and get married. So an alliance between Sintra and Skellige happened either way, and Pavetta is happy and gets to marry Dooney, who's kind of a nobody, which sucks, but it's love, so who cares? And it's at this point that Geralt says, there are so few Witchers, and here you are offering me a reward. I claim the law of surprise. You will give me that which you already have, but do not know. I'll return to Sintra in 6 years to see if destiny has been kind to me. And Pavetta's actually pregnant, which Geralt knew, obviously, because he realized, oh, Pavetta's not a virgin. I bet, using the law of surprise, I bet I could get one. And he did. So, obviously, a lot going on there. What I love about this short story is, and here comes the Netflix talk, there's so much happening behind the scenes here, really. Like when Calanthe called that page over and gave one command and he was confused and then ran off and did it, Calanthe was telling that guy to go ring the bell midnight early because Calanthe knows that Dooney's nightly oath, he can take his helmet off after midnight, or knows that due to his curse, he turns back into a man at midnight, and she wants to expose him for what he is. If she shows everybody that he's a horrific hedgehog, they're going to say, you can't get with Pavetta. So she has this guy ring the bell early and then says, you're no longer bound, Dooney, throw down your visor. And he knows he has to. And he has to reveal to everybody that he's a terrifying hedgehog person. That's so cool. That's such a subtext thing. And that is what the Netflix show was too afraid to do. And whether that is Netflix themselves, because obviously with Stranger Things ending, we know that they were like required to explain the plot of future seasons throughout the show to make it so accessible. And it's such a blight on these fantasy shows because it makes you feel stupid when they are re-explaining shit to you. And so whether it was Netflix themselves telling the showrunner or if it was the showrunner herself. There is a plethora of information on the showrunner and Netflix and the series as a whole that you can go find on your own. I'm not going to talk about my feelings on it, but it's something that they were scared to do. They didn't have Mousak and Geralt communicating back and forth. They didn't have this stuff with the bells at midnight. It was all very clear cut. And my favorite thing about these books is that you need to think about them and that Sapkowski doesn't hold your hand. So that's why it was never going to be big for me. And I think that's why the show isn't great for a lot of fans of the books, because I have to assume that a lot of other people like the books for the same reasons as me. And you don't get that in a Netflix show. And there are events coming up in the main saga that, just based on what they did to this short story, I just think to myself, they were never going to do this. Not taking the risks to show like subtext, they were never going to match what needed to be done for these stories to show up good on television. But I do really enjoy this short story. It's very important for the main saga. But yeah, that's all for this one. We don't have many short stories left in this book, and I'm so excited because once I'm done with these, I'm going to tier list all of the short stories from the first two short story books. And maybe I'll do a book tier list too. I don't know. I'll probably wrap it all up in one. But we have some good short stories left. The Last Wish is the final short story we're going to get to. And it's the best one in this book. It's my favorite in this book. But The Edge of the World is really good too. It's kind of forgettable and underrated, but it's so great. I love it. So we'll get into that next time, The Edge of the World.